Hello.
Sir, just wait. Sir has some problem in joining. Wait, sir.
Okay, ma'am.
Hello, I'm audible now.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, you can continue, sir.
Okay. Welcome to the session. Uh, Today, we talk about variables and sampling, and parametric and non-parametric sampling in the sampling. Variables, dependent variables, and independent variables. So we move by one. Okay. So yesterday we talked about introduction about research and steps involved in the psychological research. Okay. So as I told you yesterday, so it's a systematic procedure. Research is all about to systematic steps that involves in the entire research activities. Then we can get appropriate informations or new informations. Okay. So no need to bother about whether the data is expected or not. Okay, so whether the data is supportive hypothesis or not, but ultimately once we go a systematized way, definitely we can expect some predicted informations or outputs. Okay, so that is why in psychology or human science we have to follow certain rules, regulations. Okay, so in terms of all about the different steps, different aspect of different part of research activities. Okay, so in terms of from the beginning till the end of the report, research report. So uh, uh, okay, now we start with variables. Okay, what is variable? Any idea about variable? Okay, today I don't have a
Yes, the
PPT.
factors that
From
can
next
change.
session, come with different PPT for different topics. Okay, from next session we'll do that. Okay,
So,
so is there any idea about variable? What is that? What is variable? Do you know
Sir,
so
that?
variable is
variable could
kind
be
of okay. Yes, sorry, Ankush.
no, please speak.
No,
Your
please go ahead.
voice
Please
is
go ahead.
not too slow.
So I was saying that a variable could be something which can change, like it could be an environmental thing which can change, or something which is not constant. With different situations, it can change.
1 second.
These are factors that influence the experiments.
So according to me, variables are factors that influence other things, other attributes, or that can be influenced by other factors and other things.
Hello. Hello. Now I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, you just check my voice is audible or what?
Yes, sir, we are audible.
Okay. Now, okay, sir. What is variable? Do you have any idea about what is that?
Any unit which is liable to change or varies.
Yeah. So
And which
variable
can be measured also.
which can be measured or which can change. Okay. So that is variable. Okay. So variable, as the name what is implies that something that varies, which can vary. So all the element or things or characteristics, everything we called as a variable. For example, age. Okay, so personality traits, emotions, feelings, memory, depressions, everything. So certain point of time, so it keep changing from time to time, situation to situations, like that. Okay, so that is why we call such variables in a measurable variables, especially in the psychological aspects. Okay, so that is simplest way of defining a variable which can vary, or what are the content or element or the things are vary. So all the things or content is called as a variable. So someone says that researcher, some expert, the thing that is changeable. Okay, changeable. So that is nothing but variable which can change, or a quantity that may have a number of different values. Okay, so sometimes it may have different value. In another situation, it may be change. So it may be carry different values, different characteristics. So that is variable. Stress, academic stress, performance, coping strategies. Okay, so and then emotional adjustment, social adjustments. Okay, psychological well-being, occupational related job satisfactions. So sometimes it keeps changing from situation to situation. So that is why we usually called such a aspect or things as a variables. Okay, so variables something that has at least two variables. However, it is also important that the value of the variable be observed. So thus, so if what is being studied as a variable, it has more than one value, and each value can be observed. Okay, sometimes we can see the link between the two variables. For example, academic stress as well as the academic performance. Okay, so the two are variables, different variables. So each variables have interlinked. Okay, so which is independent variable, and one more variable which is called as a dependent variables. Sometimes, so this is obviously that influences dependent variable. So dependent variable is almost it is called as output. Okay, so or the uh, impact factor from the independent variable. Okay, so influenced by the independent variable, so that is dependent variable. Okay, so in research way, what are you supposed to assess by using different questionnaires? The student responses or sample responses may be the dependent variable. Okay, so we can see a different variables, types of variables. Okay, so here usually we can say independent variable and dependent variable, which can measurable. Okay. uh, a behavioral scientist attempts that define a variables more precisely and specifically. So you can see again a lot of or n number of definitions for uh, variables. For example, as I told you, so something IQ, anxiety, level of anxiety, depressions, so and then employee job satisfactions, job involvement. Okay, so and the personality traits, whether we have introvert or extrovert or whatever that personality characters that we have having in different angles. So almost all the aspect we called as a variables. Okay, so next we move on to the types of variables. Okay, so psychologists usually are interested in studying the behavior or causes of behavior as variables, like SOR. So many psychologists have adopted the theoretical viewpoint of model called the SOR theories or models. Okay, so by using that SOR, okay, stimulus, organism, and then responses. Okay, so by using this stimuli, organism, and responses, so we can explain our all characteristics, our all behaviors. Okay, so here S is the symbol of stimuli, and the category may be referred to in general as stimulus variables. Okay, which can stimuli, so that is independent variable. Okay, so stimulus variable also called independent variables, and then response. Okay, so the response, which is nothing but dependent variable. Okay, so according to SOR, S means stimulus, O means organism variable, and then R means response. So according to this, stimulus is the independent variable, or means response means the dependent variable. So in between what it comes organism. So our body part, our body organism, different tissues which is react to the stimulus and responses. So that is also one of the variable. For example, for organism. So once appears with different situations like with stressful situations. So even our BP, okay, so our heartbeat, so everything will be changed. So everything will be react to the situations. So which is nothing but organism. So here our organism also react to the particular stimulus in terms of by a responses way. Okay, so usually psychologists believe in that SOR models in format of different types of variables. Okay. So here we can see independent and dependent variable. What is independent variable and what is dependent variable? An independent variable or stimulus variable. Okay. So according to that SOR model, so it is also independent variable is also called as a stimulus variable. Is that factor manipulated or selected by the experimenter in his attempt to ascertain its relationship to an observed phenomenon. So that is independent variable. So stimulus variable obviously is stimulus. So this is a variable when we are manipulating in terms of research, in the research or in practical way. So then, so sometimes it will be helpful to understand what is the responses or output being measured in independent variable. So dependent upon the more mode of manipulations. Okay, so almost all the independent variables. So there are many independent variable will be there. Type 1, type 2, type 3, like that. Okay, so we can manipulate or we can segregate different format of independent variable to measure a particular type of dependent variable or responses. Okay, for example, if you want to see the academic stress from the age wise, like 8th, 9th, 10th. Okay, so independent variable will be the age and dependent variable will be the IQ, or it may be the the academic stress, whatever. Or if you want to study uh, academic performance or academic stress in terms of uh, different stressors, or in kind of different age group, or in terms of different geographical area, or in terms of the nature of the person's personality. So here whatever we are taking as independent variables in different format, so that will be independent variables, and then dependent variable will be the IQ, or it may be the academic stress. Okay, so it is depending on how we are framing that objectives and hypothesis. It is all about to different format of objectives and different format of hypothesis. Okay, so here dependent variable is the factor that appears and disappears or varies as the experimenter introduces and removes or varies that independent variable. Okay, the dependent variable is measures the behavior of the subject.
Sir,
Okay, so
sorry,
here,
sir, Anshu here. Sorry to interrupt. Could you
yes,
please
ma'am.
give some example for dependent variable and independent variable?
Dependent variable yeah, independent
Some simple
variables will,
examples, sir.
yeah, okay. So if you want to see uh, to or assess the academic performance of the students. Okay, so academic performance is the dependent variable. Okay, so academic performance due to some reasons, for example, the study material, the semester wise, or it may be the syllabus. So these variables may be independent variable. Based
Okay.
on that, when you measure that, so these are the output. Your performance will be the output of what you supposed to assess. So what you supposed to assess, that will be the independent variable. What are the outcomes after measurement of independent variable, that will be the dependent variable.
So, sir, in simple language, we can say the result or the consequences are dependent variable.
Consequences,
Yeah, the
yeah,
consequences.
consequences are dependent variable. The
Correct.
facts are independent variable.
Independent.
Yeah,
So,
Facts are independent, right?
yeah, facts are
Okay.
independent variable. The
Yeah,
consequences are
are
dependent variable.
dependent. Okay. Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
cause
sir,
and effect.
sir,
Causes, almost all causes are independent variable. The effects, and action and reactions like that.
Sir, I just wanted to ask you, can a person also be the organism?
Yes, madam. Okay. So dependent variable is a factor that, as I told you, the dependent variable is a measures of the behavior of the subject. The dependent variable is the responses that the persons or animal makes. So this response is generally measured using at least one of several different dimensions. So the dimensions could be the frequency, durations, latency, and forces. Okay, so these are the dimensions we could easily assess by using different kinds of variables. Okay, so then extraneous
Can you
variable.
please repeat the dimensions, please?
So dimensions will be frequency, duration, latency, and force. And force. And third one is extraneous variable. Extraneous variable simply so there is a independent variable and one dependent variable. So other than there will be a many extraneous variable which cannot control by the examiners sometimes. Okay, so and any uh, or other variables that makes the mask the relationship between the independent variable and then dependent variable are known as extraneous variable. The extraneous variable may be directly affect the dependent variables, or maybe the combine the both independent variable and that produce an effect. So therefore we have to control the extraneous variable to avoid some errors which is occurs in the process of measuring the independent variable. Okay, for example, so the cause and effect is going on. So in between some other environmental effect, okay, biological effect, psychological effect. So maybe contributing for the dependent variable. For example, we are writing examinations. We are writing examination based on our study. Okay, so the thing is there, materials is there in our brain, but while we are doing, when we are writing the examination, some the noise and some atmosphere related disturbances, okay, some the time constraint, some other variables are disturbing us, so which is impact on negatively impact on dependent variable. So these are extraneous, okay, extraneous variables. We need to control such extraneous variable while we are conducting research activities. So obviously, such extraneous variable disturb dependent variables. Okay, so sometimes it disturbs dependent independent variable also. So in any cases, in any research activities, we could see different or variety of or n number of extraneous variable which we need to control in a proper way, especially in a laboratory setup. Laboratory setup you have to control, but some descriptive type of research activities, some other kind of action related research activities, we can't control it. Okay, so obviously in laboratory setup we can control extraneous variable like noise, sound, lighting, illuminations, whatever. Okay, so this is about uh, extraneous variables.
Sir, do I understand? Just sir, tell me if I have understood this correct. Extraneous variables are those variables which may influence the result, and in order to find out the relation between the cause and the effect, we need to make sure that those do not interfere in the whole experiment. Am I right, sir?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Exactly. Exactly. We need to control that such variables. Okay, so that is also we can measurable, but which is not appropriate manner to measure in our studies. So that is extraneous variables. So next point.
Thank you, sir.
So hypothesis formulation and sampling. Last class we are, we were talking about different steps involved in the research activities. So that is a formulating of uh, objectives and the formulation of the hypothesis also most important factors that involves in the research activities as well as the formulating research synopsis. So in a scientific process or all empirical sciences are recognized by two interrelated concepts. The first one is the context of a discovery and the context of justification. So hypotheses are the mechanism and the container of knowledge moving from the unknown to known. So these element from the techniques, different techniques of the techniques, scientific discovery. Hypotheses are tentative, sensitive, tentative explanation or potential answer to a problem. So we can predict some output result by using some theoretical information and practical information or empirical based. Okay, the hypothesis give the direction and help the research to interpret the data. So and also based on the data and based on the interpretations, okay, so we can easily state that the hypothesis what actually that state that it sometimes it supports the hypothesis, sometimes it rejects the hypothesis. In this way, so we can usually formulating with different hypotheses and it characteristics being measured in terms of research activities. It is most important. Okay, so further, in order to test the hypothesis, researcher rarely collect the data or entire populations or by taking the data from the sample owing to high cost of dynamic nature of the individual in populations. So once you collect the data from subset of individual or sample and make of inference about entire population, okay, this leads us to what we should know about the population and sample. So that is why, so both so once you want to understand interpretation and data and interpretation of the data, so we are collect about the data from the proportionate sample. Okay, so we can see different various method to collect the data. So what we called as a sampling by using different kinds of sampling methods. So meaning and characteristics of the hypothesis. So the testable statement of a potential relationship between two or more variables, so that is advanced as a potential solution to the problem, or a hypothesis is a conjectural statement of the relationship between two or more variables in order to be useful in any studies or research activities. The hypothesis need to be stated in such a way that is might be subjected to empirical testing. Okay, and the researcher here is responsible to suggest or find some way to check how the hypothesis stand against the empirical data. Sometimes when we hypothesis is formulated, or the investigator must determine usefulness of the formulated hypothesis, whether it is acceptable way or not. So there are the several criteria or different characteristics of a good research hypothesis. A good hypothesis is one which meets such criteria to large extent. Some of these characteristics are, we can see in following way. The hypothesis should be conceptually clear. Okay, so you should have some, conceptual information or background or empirical background for the any kind of hypothesis. The hypothesis must be testable. Again, what we are framing in the formulation of the research synopsis, so that the hypothesis or number of hypotheses should be testable or measurable. So otherwise, so the hypothesis will not consider for the further research activities. That should have logical unity and comprehensiveness. There is a logic behind every formulating of research hypothesis. So even formulating research objectives also. So it should be capable of verifications. So without verifications, so we are framing the hypothesis for the purpose of verification. So whether the hypothesis is acceptable or not, or the data is accepting or rejecting, or what. Okay, so for the verification only, we are testing the hypothesis by using different data, so which is collected by the sample. And hypothesis should be operationalizable. Okay, so these are the characteristics being characteristics. So we should consider for such variable, such hypothesis in a research activities. So how do we formulate hypothesis? So there is a logic. As I told you, there is a logic behind every hypothesis. So for example, there will be a significant difference between academic stress and academic performance. So they should have some logic behind formulating different kinds of hypotheses. Okay, so academic stress. So what is academic stress and what is academic performance? So is there any correlation between two variables? What are the empirical evidence for the two variables or between the variables, and what are the theoretical background for that? So once you understand that theoretical and empirical evidence for the relationship or differences between two variables, then only we can we could form such hypothesis in a hypothetical way. Okay, sciences actually the proceeds with the observations and the hypothesis formulations of hypothesis testing. Okay, so and then after testing the hypothesis through various statistical tests, and the researcher can accept and reject the hypothesis. So based on the sample, so based on the data, once you understand that what is that exactly, then we can sometimes we accept and sometimes we reject the hypothesis, whether it is null hypothesis or alternative hypothesis or directive hypothesis. Okay, if the hypothesis is accepted, then the researcher can replicate that result.
Sir,
Yes.
sorry to disturb. I was thinking in the book MPC-006, where to refer this hypothesis? What you're currently teaching?
Page number 48, ma'am.
Page number?
This is MPC 005 or 006?
This is 005, and this is page number 48. Right now, what he is doing is page number 48.
So the terms are a little difficult to understand, sir, actually.
Yes, madam. So here, so different hypothesis will be there. Types of hypothesis.
Sir,
So once you understand that, yes.
We start with a hypothesis in a research, but if we are not happy with the answer, can we change the hypothesis later? Can we change the statement of
No,
that?
madam. No, madam. In case if it is not, the data is not supporting your hypothesis, you can directly put it is a reject the hypothesis. no need to change the hypothesis. So before going to, before formulating any particular hypothesis, you need to look into some, empirical evidence and theoretical evidence for that. So based on
Thank
your existed literature, then only you can able to put a certain, format in hypothetical way. So that is why, while framing that hypothesis, whether it is a null or alternative, whatever, so without knowing, empirical evidence, we can't put directly.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
Okay, sir.
then
Thank
so
you.
that is why it's a procedure. It's a procedure to put or formulating hypothesis in the initial stage. So that is why research proposal is must for every research activities. While we are preparing that research activity, like synopsis, by the moment you need to observe evidence, existed materials, or existed justification for the hypothesis what you are framed. Okay, so then we can easily say the hypothesis is, the data is supporting the what we hypothesis or reject the hypothesis. Then you can put. Okay, so then
Is the objectives and hypothesis is same? Objectives of a research and hypothesis, are they same, or is there any difference between them?
Sir, if you could give us one simple example of the two types of hypothesis, maybe we'll understand better. Just a simple example.
Sir is not there.
Yeah, I think he lost connectivity.
So I can give an example of like how we like make a hypothesis. Like there could be a hypothesis where we are going to evaluate the effects of caffeine on people. If it increases the attention level of people, and like people say that drinking coffee make them more attentive. So this could be a hypothesis, and then we can have a research done on people where we will have a control group, and uh, and we can check if like drinking coffee actually brings any change in the behavior or attention span of people.
Thank you. Thank you.
So like generally when we do research, we always have two groups, where one group is a placebo group, where we will say them that they are given coffee, but they will not be given. And there would be another group which we will actually give coffee, and then we will study if there is any difference in the output or the result uh, of their behavior.
Okay.
So in that case, what would be the statement? I mean, the objectives, if you have to list
So the
objectives.
objective would be
Which is the
like,
null
does
hypothesis and which is the other hypothesis? How will the other one be statement be made? The null hypothesis, how will that be made and how will this be made?
right.
Sir, you are on mute.
Okay. So there are two types of hypothesis, that is a null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis, when we frame that, hypothesis which asserts that there is no true different differences between two different mean. By the moment we will put null hypothesis.
So, sir,
When we are not true about,
sorry to interrupt. We just brought up one case where we want to, we have a hypothesis that drinking coffee keeps you more energetic or attentive for a class or something like that. So
okay,
we are doing research in that, suppose. So can you take that as an example and explain us how that would go?
yes, madam. So by the moment we can put null hypothesis, because there is no theoretical evidence for that. Having a
Right.
cup of tea, is there any significant correlation with energized or what other variable? What is that?
Like they are having energy to, I mean, they are attentive to class probably
Yeah,
because of
attentive to
drinking
class
coffee.
probably. Okay. Is there any theoretical evidence for that? Is there any logic behind that?
And that's, I don't know. I mean, that's like a hypothesis that
Yeah.
we are
In
bringing and we
case,
want to.
yes,
Mhm.
madam. Yes, madam. In case if there is no theoretical background for that between two variables, then by the moment we can put null hypothesis.
Okay.
When there is no true
So
differences.
so it is like that. Like I have a question.
So does that mean that we make a hypothesis? Null hypothesis means that there is no effect of coffee on that unless something.
Yes.
So
Yes.
basically, we make a null hypothesis when we do not have any prior evidence of that. But
Yes.
if we have
Yes,
a
definitely.
theoretical knowledge, like
When we
consuming
don't have
sugar
any
will increase
particular
the
evidence.
sugar level in the body, so then we can say that we have a evidence, theoretical evidence, that consuming more sugar will increase the sugar levels in the blood.
Yeah. So then we can put a directive or alternative hypothesis.
Okay.
Okay. So for example, stress is a independent variable. Academic performance is a dependent variable. Obviously, sometimes academic stress may be causing factor for a decrease of academic performance. Then we can put directive hypothesis, like there is a negative impact on academic stress on academic performance. So here there is no matter of putting a null hypothesis and all. So we can put alternative hypothesis directly. So when you told that coffee and energized between two different categories, so by the moment we can put null hypothesis. When
So
there is
basically,
no
there
true,
we want a result. To find a result, there we want.
no,
Here we
we
are
just
presuming a
result.
result.
No, finding
We
a
are
result.
assuming that there is no result.
Yeah,
There's no connection.
it's just an assumption. Is there significant differences or not? In case if it is a relationship between having a cup of coffee with keeping good while listening classes and all. So sometimes it could be true. Sometimes it could not be a true. Okay, depending on the different two different variables, but we don't have any empirical evidence for that. By the moment we can put null hypothesis. So it is all about how we are proceeding with different patterns of research activities, and ultimately how that measuring, how that carrying the outputs. Okay, so null hypothesis nothing but when there is no true differences between two populations mean. So by the moment we can put that, otherwise we can put direct hypothesis. Okay, so and then second one is alternative hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis is state that specify those value that as researchers believes to hold true. So when there is a link between more than tables, so then we can put alternative hypothesis. So the sample data will lead to the acceptance of this hypothesis as true. So alternative hypothesis represent all other possibilities, and it indicates the nature of the relationship. Okay, the nature of the relationship. So whether they have positive relationship or negative relationship, whether they have different significant differences or not significant differences. So it shows clear indicate whether the variables have any kind of relationship or what. Okay, so a different state. So you clearly explain different state of in between two variables or more than two variables. So that is alternative hypothesis. And most of the the researcher, they usually go with the alternative only. So because we especially in the human science like psychology, sociology, and MSW like that, we usually go with the alternative hypothesis. Okay, next sampling. Okay, so sampling. So as I told you yesterday, we can't sampling is a very important component in the research activities. So without sampling, we can't get result data. So once we get the data from the samples, then only based on that data we analyze that and interpret the data and discuss based on the what we collecting informations. Okay, so there are many element comes in the process of analyzing and in the process of discussing the data, population data. So sampling is one of the important component. So researcher here usually cannot make direct observation of every individual in the population under the study. Okay, so in case if you want to study academic stress among adolescent populations, Bangalore city, so we can't approach each and every individuals who are there in Bangalore city. It is very difficult. So it could be lakhs together. Okay, the populations in between 12 years to 20 years. So we have to draw some sample. So once you choose the samples with the proper way, proper by using different techniques, strategies, then it is very it replicables the overall populations. Okay, so that is why while choosing the sample, it is we need to follow different criteria, strategies, techniques. So which will be the representing the whole populations. So that is why choosing the sampling method what we are adapting while choosing the sampling is very important. So usually we collect the data from the subset of individuals sample and use those observations to make inferences about the entire population. So, okay, so sampling, definition of sampling: a statistical sample is miniatures pictures of cross sections of the entire group or aggregate from which the sample is taken. And one more definition for sample is a sample, as the name implies, is a smaller representative of a larger data, a larger population. Okay, so we can't measure whole populations together because it is very difficult in terms of finance, in terms of time, or in terms of some other variables. So it is very difficult. So that is that moment we usually take samples. So sample before going to determine the sample sample size, we need to address which is our study sample populations. So then only it is very easy to drawing and identification our sample. Okay. So study populations, for example, your study is restricted to academic abilities or intelligent quotient like IQ. Okay. If you want to study the IQ of adolescent age group, so adolescent is the study populations. Adolescent in the we need to restrict it to particular geographical area like Bangalore or Karnataka or what. So based on that, we need to identify identify the sample size again. So what kind of a sample we need to go with that. So sometimes the sample is any number the person selected to represent the population according to the some rule or plan. Thus, a sample is a smaller representation of the population, and the measure based upon the sample is known as a statistics. So, sample size, number of selected individuals, for example, number of students, families from whom you obtained the required information is called as a sample size, and usually it is denoted by the letter n. So small letter n. Sample design, sample unit, and sample frame. So these are the element that comes in the process of sampling and determining the sample from the overall population, study populations. Okay, so we can see different types of sampling. So that is probability sampling techniques and non-probability sampling techniques. So probability sampling techniques means, so again under that three category will come, techniques will come. So that is simple random, random, and the stratified techniques will come. So under the probability sampling techniques, okay, simple random techniques, and then stratified random sampling, as well as cluster sampling. So these are the techniques which comes under the probability sampling techniques. What is probability sampling technique? So probability means once or you supposed to take sample from the classroom. For example, there are 100 people in a room, students in the room. You need to take only 10 among 100. So once you enter the room, you can see all 100 members in a classroom. So among 100, you just want to select only 10. Okay, so there is a chance to select each and every. There is a probability to select each and every, but we choose only 10 out of 100. So this is probability sample techniques. Okay, the equal chance is there for all all of them which are there in the classrooms, but we choose only 10 out of 100. Non-probability means there is no such chances, equal chances to our overall study populations. So who are available when you visit some places, some classrooms, who are available, you just pick. So there is no equal chance to all populations who are there in the classroom and within the campus. So based on our purposive, based on our so interest, so we approach and collect the data. So that is non-probability sampling techniques. Okay, so this is a big difference between probability and non-probability sampling techniques. Okay, so under that probability sample techniques, simple random sampling is one important sampling techniques which comes under the probability sampling techniques. A simple random sample requires a complete listing of all the elements, the persons who are there in the classroom or the persons who are there in the list. An equal chance for each elements to be selected, the second point. A selection process whereby the selection of one element has no effect on the chances of selecting another element. Okay, so here there is a equal chance. So simple random sample technique is, okay, so there are 100 people, 100 students in the classroom who are available when you enter into the classrooms. You just pick 5 from the male and 5 from the female students. So this is a simple random technique. There is no bias. Okay, so who are interested by you, so you can pick. So you come, this fellow come, like this fellow come, like that you can choose. So that is simple random set. So there is a equal chance to all 100 students, but out of 100 we choose only 5 from male and 5 from female students. And systematic random sampling. Systematic random sampling is another sampling method, so which comes again under the probability sampling techniques. For example, again there are 100 people, 100 students are there in the classroom. We need again 10 students from 100. We need to assign numbers to each students. So every 10 numbers, okay, we pick one student. So ultimately and totally we just pick 100 from 100 10 from 100 students. So this is simple systematic random sampling techniques. Okay, so and then third one is stratified random sampling. So stratified sampling techniques, we need to make strata, different strata. So based on the strata, different strata, we just collect the number of sample which we usually we supposed to get. Okay, for example, we can make a different strata like in terms of category, in terms of male or females, in terms of different age group, in terms of different geographical area. So according to, once we made the different strata, so based on the different strata, we can draw different, using different, random samplings. So that is called a stratified random sampling techniques. And then cluster. Cluster is a type of random sampling techniques uses multiple stages. So once you identify our study population, again we have make into some clusters. So based on that clusters, we need to collect the data. We need to choose the sample from the different clusters, area wise or different category wise. Okay, so this is cluster. And non-probability sampling. As I told you, non-probability sampling techniques is nothing but there is no equal chance to all of the persons who are there in the study populations. Okay, by purposefully the persons who are available, and by purposefully the persons who are ready to take the test, we usually take them as a sample. Okay, so that is non-probability sample techniques. Under that, so convenience sampling techniques, quota sampling, and purposive sampling techniques, and the snowball sampling techniques comes. Purposive sampling, for example, if you visit any institutions to collect the data related to study the academic stress, academic anxiety, depression, whatever. So the persons who are available, who are interested, who are come forward to give their data, so just collect the information from them by purposefully. Okay, so that is purposive sampling technique. So even convenience sample techniques also like
So
that.
does this
According to our
purposive sampling excuse me, sir, does this purposive sampling come under non-probability sample method?
yeah, non-probability sampling method. Purposive,
I'm getting
convenience.
confused what is non-probability sampling method. I'm not able to get understand.
No, madam. The purposive sampling method comes under the non-probability sampling techniques.
Can you tell me just quickly once what is non-probability sampling method, sir? I'm getting
Non-probability,
confused.
yes, madam. So
Yeah.
non-probability means there is no equal chance to all the persons who are there in the study, populations. For
Okay.
example, if you want to study the academic stress among adult or adolescent age group in the Bangalore city. So Bangalore city means how many colleges are there? How many students are there? Adolescent age group from 12 years to 20 years. Okay, we can't get, from the different schools all together. So you are there in the south Bangalore. The institutions which are there nearby you just approach them. So which is not proportionate to whole Bangalore city. Okay, so Bangalore city, or in case if you want to study the whole Karnataka, so by taking only the sample from the Bangalore city, it is not replicable to whole Karnataka.
Correct.
Okay, the persons who are there nearby you, you just go and approach them and collect the data. So that is non-probability sample techniques,
Okay.
which means there is no equal chance to all your study populations. The persons who are available for you, then you just approach and collect the data. So that is non-probability. Probability means
Thank you, sir.
you can see the all 100 students which are there and who are there in the classrooms. There is equal chance to 100 students, but you just pick only 10 among 100. So that is
Okay.
probability sampling. There is a equal probability for all the study populations. Then you just pick the whatever the samples that you require. So this
Thank
is
you,
the
sir.
difference,
Now
the
it is clear.
significant probability and non-probability sampling techniques. And snowball sampling techniques. This is also non-probability sampling techniques. Snowball means, in rarer case only we just go with snowball sampling techniques. For example, if you want to study the mindset or emotional maturity of classical dancers, they may be available only one or two in Bangalore city, a few 100 or 200 like that. Once you approach one student or one sample, it is knowingly or unknowingly who are available, then by approaching them they will show something, few sample. So like that, so they are referring some other students or other samples, you just collecting the information from them. So this is nothing but snowball sample. You don't know who are there. Okay, by referring from somebody's, then only you can approach them. So this is nothing but some snowball random sampling techniques. Okay, so this is about sampling, like probability and non-probability sampling techniques. Under probability sampling techniques, three different categories come: simple random techniques, stratified, and cluster. Under non-probability, purposive convenience sampling techniques and snowball techniques comes. So even convenience sampling techniques also, according to our convenience,
Sir, could you
we
please
supposed
tell
to
purposive sampling? Purposive sampling, sir,
purposive.
please.
Purposive.
Yes, sir.
So purposive. So it is like once you visit any institutions, like suppose if you want to see the collect the information from the different age group, or purposefully you need to select the sample according to what actually that research activities that demands. Okay, so there is a purpose. You need to collect the information from the this category, this age group, or this from this area, or from this gender. So this is about purposive sample techniques.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
so this is about
Is there anybody from the RC here?
Madam, I am here. I will talk to sir. 1 minute. Please wait, madam. Take a break.
Okay, thank you.
I'm here.
Okay, then taking 5 minutes break.
Yes, madam. Take. I'll just check with sir.
So till the sir joins back, maybe we can understand so far what I have understood. So correct me where all I am going wrong. So I understood this about the sampling methods. There are two types of sampling methods. That is non-probability sampling method and probability sampling method. So in the non-probability, it is where there is no way of assessing the probability of the element or the group of elements. That is, you're not particularly specific about what on what basis you want to choose the sample. So in the probability, everyone in the every sample gets an equal opportunity to be probably in the sampling bracket. So in the non-probability sampling method, there are accidental or convenient sampling method where you just randomly pick people and use them as a sample to be part of the sample of your research. And in the quota sampling, you categorize some of the people and then pick a particular age group or a gender based quota sampling. And in case of third one, it is purposive sampling where you have a specific purpose why you are selecting the sampling. So based on that special situation and for the specific event, uh, you select the sample. And in case of snowball sampling, you just pick one person and then you request that person to give more contacts and get established and collect more samples. So in the systematic sampling here, it's a non-probability method again where it's real confusing when you're using a systematic sampling. It may be into probability because I personally feel that you're using a systematic method to pick the sample which is more closer to probability sample because everybody gets an option or possibility to be in the sampling. So please correct me if I have understood any of this wrong, or is there anything you can add from your end to my understanding? Thank you so much.
Ma'am, can you repeat what you said about snowball sampling?
Okay, so here it is basically you have a hypothesis which you have chosen, and then you don't know whom to select as a sample, but then one person, like as sir was saying that you are trying to prove a hypothesis on a dance performance and whether that leads to stress or anything. Then you don't have a contact of all the dancers or a uh, even samples for yourself. Then you contact one person whom you know, then that person will refer more samples to you by sharing their contact or uh, through their network. So that is how you start from one point and then you snowball with multiple contacts as a samples for your research. That's what is my understanding. Anybody's free to add their inputs here as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I have the same understanding. So.
Yeah, it is right. It is, the analogy is to the snowball. Like when you make a small pebble of a snowball and if you roll it down, it keeps gathering snow and then
Yeah,
by the
and
time
the
it
ball
comes down, it becomes an avalanche. So, yeah.
Thank you everyone for your input.
Do we have anyone from the RC group? Just one request I had, if presentations can be shared during this.
Madam, I'm here only. I'm talking to sir. This is out of coverage. You can discuss among yourself by the time. Just wait for 5 minutes, madam.
Yeah, no. What I was requesting is when we have these sessions, if you can request, the counselors to share the PPTs.
Yes, we will share the PPT, madam.
No, live,
Just
live.
wait. We will share the PPTs. Don't not worry. Okay.
No, I'm saying live PPTs when they're presenting, because
Yes,
otherwise
yes.
it's very difficult
Yes,
to
yes. I
understand.
will ask, sir. Okay.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
So I have a little doubt in the systematic sampling. If anyone has understood it better, can they tell me?
So here, here is my understanding. Correct me and feel free to add your inputs here. So if you have samples of 100 people, then you tell them to count 1, 2, 3 till 100 repeats of 10. Then you pick a random number of 5. So everybody who comes under the counting of 5 will be selected as a sampling. So that's where you are
Okay, so
even though it is a
like we have to select 10 people from 100 people. So we are just
yeah.
making some sort of a way. So how to
Pattern. Yeah,
yeah, so
absolutely.
a
That's
random
my
pattern we are
understanding.
creating. So
Yeah.
isn't that not a kind of a probability
Yeah,
sampling,
exactly.
because it is
That's what
random
my
only?
understanding as well. Yeah.
Is it not is it not random selection and probable?
No, this is systematic sampling. Here,
Randomly, we are taking the 1, 5, like any 5 or
I
all.
think the name is systematic because we are applying a formula or a method, but
Okay.
it is random only.
That is what my doubt was. Random,
Exactly.
but systematic way we are selecting a particular number, like all 5s or all 6 or all 7, like that.
Yeah, exactly. But then it comes under a non-probability bracket because not everybody would have the possibility of becoming that 5 or 7, whatever number we are selecting, because that number comes from us, right? So
Yeah.
not everybody will have an opportunity of becoming a probable sample. How it comes under a non-probable sampling. That's my understanding.
Yeah.
So I think what I can understand is because we have a systematic way, the only problem is if the list is arranged in a particular order, then it is no longer random, and that could become a problem.
Yeah.
No, I
That's
think
other.
No,
the
but in
minute
this
you
case,
change,
we are not assigning them a number. So
yeah,
number is predetermined.
yeah,
For us, it is random
yeah.
while
So
we are collecting the sample.
I think what
As a
happens
research,
is, yeah, go ahead. Continue, please.
Yeah, please go ahead, Miss Chaitra, I guess, right?
Chitra. So what I was thinking was, if you take the 8th person on a continuous basis, like 8 and 8, if you take 16 and 24 and 32, then like you were mentioning, 1 to 7 is out of the sample, and they will never make it into the sample. Similarly, 9th to the 15th person is not going to make into the sample, and 17th to 23 is not going to. So that makes it non-probable, right?
Yeah, correct.
Though
Right,
it gives a rhythm to the selection.
no, but we
the
could
fact
have given
that-
any. So my question is, we could have given any number. So we just want 10 people, but how to select them? I mean to say, like we are not randomly selecting 10 people. We are
No,
giving a
the
formula,
samples,
but we want everyone to have equal opportunity. Is that not what we want here?
the examples that they've given in the book is
But
that
everyone
there
not
is
getting
already
equal opportunity here.
no. The examples given is that there is a list existing with a certain order.
Yes.
Like roll number or telephone
Right.
directory,
Yes.
where there is already an order. So the minute you say every 10th person, 1 to 9 are already eliminated.
Yes.
That
Right.
because the initial list is not random, because there is some method to the initial list.
Right.
So 1 to 9 is definitely not going to make it into the sample.
Yeah.
The minute you say every 10th person.
Yeah.
I think that is why it is non-probable.
So if anyone can actually give an example where this sort of sampling might be useful, because I'm not able to think of
I
anything.
think simply we can go in a class and select 10 students
Yeah.
like this.
In classrooms, in schools, classrooms.
They have a roll number.
Yeah, you can simply say, okay, let's say this way, you want some volunteers, students for an event or a program which is going to be happening in the school, then you just make them count, serial numbers, and you just pick anybody who's coming under this number. Just you can just walk in and be part of volunteering, because not everybody would be happy being part of it. So
Yeah,
rather than pushing,
yeah. Sometimes you
so
make sports teams like that in classroom. Like everyone count a number, and odd number people are in one team, and even number of people are
Yeah,
in
yeah,
another
yeah.
team.
yeah, that's also a wonderful example. Thank you for sharing. So, yeah, I think non-probability sampling is, I think, clear for most of us now. So, can anybody share about probability sampling now with the different types of them as well? Thank you.
I think Sir has joined.
Hello.
Sir has joined. Sir has joined. Yes, sir.
Hello. Today I have some network issues. So I think I'm not regularly I'm not contact with link actually. Okay, I have covered today hypothesis, formulating of hypothesis and variables, and sampling. So probability and non-probability sampling.
Sir, we have
Okay.
still little,
So
we need clarity on, sir, one small question. Still we need little clarity on probable sampling, sir.
probability sampling techniques.
Yes, yes.
Right. Okay. Probability sampling techniques. For example, 100 students are there. You assume that 100 students are there in the classroom. Once you enter, visit the school and enter the particular classroom, so you can see all 100 students. Okay. So your study populations could be 100. Out of 100, you just want to pick only 10 or 20. So according to your nature of the study or purpose of the study, you assume that you need only 10 out of 100. Okay. So how do you select? So usually you select, okay, this fellow come, this boy, this girl, you just come like that. You just call. By the moment, there is a equal chance to every student which are there in the classroom. But out of or among 100 students, you just select only 10 according to your study. So that is probability sampling technique. There is a equal chance to being a subject, a student, or a sample for all 100 students, but you will pick only 10 out of 100. This is probability sample technique.
Okay.
Understood?
Thank you, sir.
And non-probability means there is no such equal probability for all the students or the population is there, as the study population is there. So you
sir,
just approach the persons who are available near.
So, sir, you meant to say like there are 100 students out of 100, all have equal chance, but my purpose only to select only 10. So I am taking 10, any 10, and doing. So this is probable because I
Yes,
have
madam,
choice.
yes.
I have choice of 100 students, but where I do
Yes.
not have any choice, so they are only whatever possible and whatever available. Only from that I have to do. That is non-probable, right?
Yes, yes. but you have designed while framing your research activities. So I just want to assess the academic stress of adolescent age group of South Bangalore, North Bangalore, like that. But you are not approach all the students who are there in the South Bangalore or North Bangalore. You just approach one or two schools or colleges. So among them, so you just draw a few students, the persons who are available. There is no equal chance. You
Yes.
can't meet
Yes,
all
that is
students
why it is
together
non-probability
or
technique. Yes, sir. Understood. Yeah, yeah.
non-probable.
Thank you,
Yes.
sir. Thank you.
And there are many strategies or techniques comes under the probability and non-probability sample techniques. So simple random techniques are stratified, and then uh, what is that, plus the, so these comes under the probability sample techniques. Purposive, convenience, snowball, these are the techniques which comes under the non-probability sample technique. Okay, so today we'll end the session. Next session we'll discuss more about the sampling and hypothesis, formulating hypothesis, or and other things. Okay, so today I'm just have some network issues. Okay, next session we'll surely discuss about what are the queries that you have. We'll clarify all of them.
Sir, just one small query. Next session, till where you are, till, I mean, which block or unit you are going to cover, so that we will come read and come, sir. We'll come prepared.
Yeah, second block.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Today and yesterday what we took, so that is first block. From next session we'll go with the second block.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir.
So anyway, we'll just touch with the first block. So,
I think sir has left now. So I think we'll also leave, because even the RC person also, ma'am also has left.
Madam, I am here only listening.
Oh,
Okay, madam.
oh, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes.
next week we will send the links and schedule as we sent this time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Request, ma'am, if we could send it a few days earlier so that we can plan our
Yeah,
schedule.
the problem with us is, madam, the academic counselors, no, they are working in the other colleges. Suddenly they will tell, so we will wait for them till every week we are asking their time schedule and we are preparing the schedule, madam. Please cooperate with me, because it is not attached to any college. No, you have to pick academic counselor from different colleges and doing the schedule. Definitely, once it is streamlined, then maybe a week in advance we will send the schedule. This time, maybe these 2 weeks. Okay, please cooperate. Next week I will just try, madam. Wednesday or Thursday we will send the schedule, but same time will be there. Saturday, maybe in the afternoons after 2 o'clock. Sundays from 9 to 6 anytime.
Ma'am,
Okay, madam.
Ramesh Babu sir will continue
Because
the
second year
periods, right?
schedule again 6 to 8 it is going on for the second year students. Even yesterday, today, and all. Again 5 another class is going to start now. So it's becoming difficult. Then also we will try, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, ma'am.
Sir
Because
is
otherwise,
dealing with, I think, 5. We keep preparing for the 5 only. Let him complete this paper. Then he will go to 6, I think. And by the time the other papers also, we will see. So one has already MPC-4. That may not be there for the next week, or if anybody is ready, the other counselor for MPC-001 will be there, madam, for next Saturday, Sunday. I will send in advance, not to worry. Okay.
Ma'am, MPC 006.
3 days in advance, I'll try to send.
Ma'am, MPC 006, ma'am, please arrange, because that is very important and we are not able to
statistics.
understand.
Yeah, I know.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. That would be very helpful.
Very good evening.
It will be very helpful that you can give it to us earlier.
Yes,
Thank you so
madam.
much.
By the time I will just see, I can arrange any the counselors or any our professors from our IGNOU only. for one session at least.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please.
I'm just trying. They're also busy. We will try, madam. Maybe next week only I will talk to them. We'll like to arrange at least 1 hour session for you all for research and statistics. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
We'll check.
Thank you, ma'am.
We'll
Thank
check
you.
our Delhi school people.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We'll
So,
also
ma'am,
share the PPT. If anything is there on research methodology also, I'll share. Okay?
Ma'am, the recordings, where are you going to share, ma'am? The recordings for these two
Mails
classes?
only, madam.
In mails? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, ma'am.
So these sessions will happen only on Saturday, Sunday, no, ma'am?
Yes, only Saturday, Sundays, madam.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, is there any information
Always,
about
always.
the practicals or the study center?
Sir, practical, once we establish the study center, is under the process, then only in the labs we can do. We will do, sir. This, let this theory be completed first. Maybe after theory exams also we can conduct the practicals, and practical exams will be internal. That will be done in the study center. No need to worry. Okay. So we are just trying.
Okay, ma'am.
Once
Thank
we
you.
complete the theory, then we will take up this practical. You have one practical paper that we will try.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Prior to that, 1 or 2, 3 sessions online only we will arrange before that. Before
So, ma'am,
taking you to
for
the
the
face-to-face
practical,
practical lab. Sir,
so before the practical exam, will there be practical classes?
practical classes will be there. Attendance is compulsory. You need to
Okay.
attend the practical classes. Okay. See, face-to-face, the lab sessions will be there. That we are trying to arrange in the month of May. If it is not possible, then after your theory exam also it can happen. Before that, we will have 1 or 2 online sessions also regarding this practicals.
Okay.
Okay. We complete the theory now. Then we will send the schedule for practical sessions also once the study center is established for that.
Ma'am, are you going to create any official WhatsApp group or something?
That, see, in paper wise, you are only making, I think, all the students here. And from RC side, because all the students, I'll think over it, madam. Because if you are attached to a study center, the coordinator will take that responsibility. For us, not only this group, there are many other groups also.
Okay.
AMC, APC, all these things. So we'll think over it. You can make your own group. Okay. Very important information, anything is there, we will send through the mail only. Not, okay, madam.
Okay. Thank you, madam.
Yes, madam. This general queries, we will have one session.
Yeah.
And this links and the schedules, we will send maybe Thursday or Friday. Please wait for the links and then keep checking our regional center
Okay.
website also. The schedules will be uploaded on the regional
Sure.
center
Thank you,
website.
ma'am.
Saturday afternoon, Sunday 9 to 5 anytime. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.